here with actor and coach Brad Milne. Tell me a little bit about how your work as an actor led you into coaching as well.
It's a cute kind of story. I was living in LA, and my very young daughter at the time and ex-wife were living in San Antonio, and I really just wanted to be in my kid's life. So I thought, well, LA will wait. I moved over to San Antonio, and there really wasn't much of a film, TV industry or anything like that. And I went and talked to a local talent agent who was the top in the region, and she so what do you want to do? Because you're not going to get fulfilled doing theater here. You're not going to like this. You're not. And I thought, how can I not like it? Well, I've always wanted to teach. And she goes, well, what do you know about teaching? And I told her I had a background in teaching sports, and I had a background in training people in business. And I said that I studied like a demon as an actor. I worked with some really good actors. I like to teach. She said, create a curriculum. And I kind of thought that as an actor, I was sort of using one that was a hybrid of all of the experts that I either studied with or worked with on set. Mm-hmm. So I, went away for a couple of days, and I, got like a big whiteboard, and I started drawing stuff all over it. And then I got like a Bristol board, and I created this really beautiful presentation. I go in her office, smack it up on the wall, and I walk through all of these different things that I'm going to do. And she's sitting there, wow, you sound like Larry Moss. And I went, what? No, don't put that kind of pressure on me.
And since
one thing led to,
No.
One thing led to another. She said, great, let's turn this into a series of classes. And her agency became the top talent agency in that whole region. Wow. In the months that followed.
And since then, I know you've developed a lot of your own techniques. And today when I walked in, you were working on a child technique where people are, I guess, finding their inner child or something like that. Tell me a bit about it.
A little bit like that, yeah. So essentially, what they're doing is I walk them through creating a persona, an energy, and an aura that is of the character ilk. And let them really take them through a series of exercises that allows them to really trust that can actually be, that they can, go through a metamorphosis of a kind and forget about where they were and live under these imaginary circumstances, bringing experiences from their own life and bringing experiences from their imagination that they're creating in the character. And once that trust is there, of course, I don't let them know that this is coming. Yeah. Then I say, close your eyes. Go back to about 6. Go back to a point in time that's somehow connected with where you are today in this piece. And when you open your eyes as a child and live in that experience and tell a story. Tell the biggest lie you want to tell. Tell anything you want to tell from your imagination. And then at a certain point, transfer into the text, but don't shift anything else. Marvelous exercise. Wonderful. Yeah, a lot of fun.
And you've been having a lot of success with your acting as well. Tell me a little bit about Fear Thy Neighbor.
How do you know that?
Yeah. What?
So there's one of the great supporters of actors, and for so many decades, is a casting director named Gloria Mann, and I've known her for a long time. And when I was coming up to Toronto to open my studio last year, we talked a little bit, and her daughter at the time was my agent, Marla. And so there was an episode they were trying to cast, and I think they were having a little bit of difficulty with one role, and I heard about it, and Marla got me an audition for this guy who he seems like a happy-go-lucky guy, but he's actually very, very, troubled, really, really troubled person who's maybe a little bit schizophrenic, probably a little sociopathic, and definitely delusional. He thinks that his neighbors want to kill him. So he trains his children to become part of his defense team and eventually completely snaps and murders his neighbors with the help of his kids.
Based on a true story?
Based on a true story. And so when I heard about it, I'm very much a research type, so I really looked into this guy's life. What could I find out about him, and what could I create? Because it was actually a fairly demanding role. There were over 40 scenes. It's shot over a week, so I had to play a complete arc. And there were times when I was on set doing things where people would really get wigged out. Well, one day, because had firearms, there were cops on set. And I lived in the U.S. for a long time, so I'm familiar with guns. I don't go around.
As you would be.
uh, my ex-father-in-law was a hunter, so sometimes I'd go out and fire a gun. And there was a couple of movies I did where the gun wrangler would teach me stuff. And so there's a cop on set one day watching me fire the gun, and I walk away, and the guy starts, "You're pretty good with that gun there." Kind of like suspicious, like he's looking at it, and and I'm like, no, it's not like that. I'm like, I'm an actor.
Yeah.
I'm just supposed. Yeah, I know, but you really know how to make that kick look real.
You sold it a little too much, did you?
Well, the next day, I'm sitting at lunch, my own table, got my script open. I'm sort of reading before I get ready to go out. And two cops sit down and start interviewing. It's as if they were trying to get me to answer stuff, and I'm sitting there, and I finally look up, and I guys, this is just what I do. I'm an actor. I'm supposed to be convincing. You don't have to worry. I'm not going to hurt anybody. And they actually started laughing. Like they were really kind of worried about what I was anyway.
Well, what better testament to a great performance than being accosted by the police?
So interesting. What? No, and the whole thing was really interesting. I actually wrote a blog about it for the people that I train, about this whole process of, because today actors in both union and non-union worlds audition a lot for docudrama stuff. You get character side. You don't even get a side. You get a character description. You may get some kind of side when you go to the audition. And it was an amazing experience how it led, which leads me to talk a little bit about this technique that evolved out of my work with a lot of great teachers and a lot of great actors and a lot of mistakes over the years with the craft. This technique that comes out of the analysis of the text and is then fused with a combination of Strasberg, Meisner, Chekhov, Adler, Shurtleff, Hagen, a few greats from here in Toronto, a few greats from LA. And essentially what it came down to for me was 5 simple things. What's the story? How do you feel? Who's in it with you? What are your goals? And where does it take place? And I wasn't really looking for the name of a technique. I just wanted to simplify things that were a lot of steps without asking a lot of questions about specificity. I didn't want to do. I wanted to help people find specificity without loading them up with a list.
You don't want to get too cerebral sometimes.
Precisely. And so there I was, and I realized, what are these 5 things? They are premise, right? So if you can write a really solid premise for something, if you're a writer, then you know that writing a premise is really important to getting a story going. You want to really get a feel for a character. Well, how does she or he feel? And usually a writer finds that out by actually letting the character live and writing a bit of it. And okay, now I get a feeling for this guy or this girl. And then who do they bump into in their life? Their relationship. So the premise, the emotions, the relationship, the goals, and the environment. Spells a word that sounds like purge, P-E-R-G-E, but it's actually pronounced perge.
Oh.
And it's a verb, and the verb means simply go on, proceed. So it's kind of like go on stage and do it.
Yeah, so much of it is in the doing of it, I find.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Doing and confidence of doing. And so this technique I use in my training, and it has brought a lot of success to the people I've trained in the States, and now is beginning to really resonate here in Toronto. A lot of people are lapping it up.
Great. And where's the best place for us to find out more information on the Milne technique and you and what you're up to online?
I guess you could go to milnestudio.ca. There's a Facebook page for Milne Studio Toronto. Those are easy, and there's a real easy phone number if people want to call and leave a message. I'll call them back. It's 855-ACT-FILM.
a good one. How'd you get that?
I don't know.
Who'd you have to sleep with? Just kidding.
You really want to know? I mean, if this is improv, I'm supposed to say yes and.
Yeah.
No. 855-228-3456.
Perfect.
But yeah, and so I'm accessible, and I love to talk to folks about it. And thank you very much for coming over.
Great. Thank you for having me, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Same to you.
Thanks. I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for Katie Chats in downtown Toronto.